Emery might be 5 minutes late, so when the dawn hits 6, do you want to be the official opener?
Sure. Hey!
Bears. We only had one incident with the pigs.
I heard about
And I
it.
went into jury rig with my father's very best tie-down strap, so don't lose it.
Okay. Well, they'll probably eat it.
Well, they tried to eat the hooks, and I turned it around for them.
Do pigs eat just everything?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, they at least give it a good effort.
Okay.
And if they don't like it, they'll
Your
eat it.
arm, your leg.
Yeah.
Huh.
They'll fall
Okay,
down.
Carl, you're on.
We're on.
Cool.
It being 6 o'clock, I will call the select board meeting to order on Thursday, October 26, 2023. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Yes, there's a septic design approval form for the TCNA extension, and payroll was added today because Elaine was away, and that is for $34,257.63.
Okay.
That's it. And Kim, I'm supposed to go holler for her.
Oh, okay.
Want me to get it?
Well, but maybe we should just have Betsy go first, and we can get back Kim.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, why don't we
Okay.
do that?
That'd be lovely.
Okay.
Under new business, we'll dive into budgeting, and we're going to start with Betsy Laughlin
And
from
here he is, the man
the
himself.
library.
Yeah, and Mary, I think
Oh, Mary is on.
Oh good.
is on Zoom if you let her in.
She's in.
She's in. She just
Okay.
doesn't want the. Oh,
There she
Good,
is.
the
there she
video.
is, yeah.
Ooh.
This
Oh,
is,
she has a very important
Oh.
job right now.
that's the library.
She's doing important work.
It's different from the
Absolutely.
All right, take it away, Mary.
What, to me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's our owl or your sound, Mary, but let me try and tighten the cord and see if it's that.
So which page is library?
Well,
This-
it's
this
this
thing.
separate one because it's different from what we have.
Okay.
Yeah, the library's just a lump sum in our budget, so you have the details.
Makes sense.
Mary, say something again.
Testing, testing.
Mary, can you?
Oh.
Uh-oh, there goes the baby.
There it goes.
Can you test your voice, Mary? Can you say something?
You can't hear us.
She can't hear me. Did I just hit mute or something?
I don't know where on the agenda you are.
We're just trying to. The sound is not right, so we want you to talk because we're trying to make our speaker work.
I'm gonna completely unplug it and plug it back in. See if that does it.
Okay, hang on.
Hello.
Haircut.
Yes.
You move
Every 6 weeks or so, I just.
What do you need to hear now?
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah, I can hear you on my computer, so it's definitely the owl. Okay, now say something.
Dear me.
Can she not hear us?
The owl's loading up. It's gonna go.
Ask Jim and Maureen to say something.
Oh, its little eyes are flashing.
Oh,
I love it
maybe
so
it's
much.
got a hoot again.
But,
Much better.
There's no visual for the town.
yeah, well, they've dropped out, so, yeah, but we hear Mary fine.
And the visual's coming back. I replugged it and that seemed to solve the problem.
Okay, so Jim and Maureen sound great.
Okay, go ahead, Mary.
Okay.
It's
Did you
gotta
all
be
have the budget sheet?
It's her.
Yes.
That?
Yeah.
That's Mary's budget.
No, Mary gave it to me, but I can sit next to you.
So it's a 4-page document. The first page is the summary budget that will appear in the town report. This is the second draft. There's probably going to be 2 more, maybe 3 before we're really done. And as you can see, we show income and then expenditures. Right here, we don't have any warrant articles listed here, so that's going to probably be a separate conversation. I believe we have at least one thing on the CIP that we're planning to do, but it's contingent on grants. And not sure that there's a grant that will work for the project.
Mary, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Your CIP request, which is painting and solar, is contingent upon a grant?
The solar is, yeah.
How much is the solar of that?
The solar would be, shoot, it's like one piece of paper I don't have. It's a big chunk of change, it's like 42 grand.
Oh, so out of that 50-something thousand, it's a big portion of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's
So
good
the
to know.
operating budget is what I came prepared to speak about today. And that's shown here. There's income and expenditures. There's not much changes in the line items from previous years. As you will see, we spent some money last year from our carryover funds, which were memorial funds that we received a few years ago. It was actually three at least, maybe more memorial funds together that helped pay for the granite steps. And that all came from memorial funds. And that project is nearly done except for the walkway part of it. From the steps to the street, which we'll probably have to tackle next year. So anyway, that, we don't normally have a lot of memorial funds, so that's why the carryover number is so much less this year, because we spent those funds that we had been saving for a while on this project that we had been planning for a while, and now we just have fewer to carry over. And that's the big difference on income. Everything else we anticipate to be pretty much the same as what it's been. We don't know for the grants, so they're hard to anticipate. We don't really even know exactly. They come so fast and furious now. Right now there's a couple that may or may not work for the solar project, but I'm not sure they will, so I didn't put them in here.
And the solar is not in this expenditure budget.
No, that would be in a separate
Capital,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the capital improvement.
So as you can see, the normal things we take in, we get contributions, donations to the library, which despite what anyone thinks are totally tax deductible. I have a letter from the IRS saying that. Copy fax machine, we take income from that, and the library by state law gets to keep that income. We use that income to pay for the ink and the paper for the copy and the fax machine and the printers. Fees, those are the fees that are levied. We collect based on when people lose a book, they have to pay for a book. Or if people want to borrow an interlibrary loan from one of the big academic libraries, there's usually a fee involved with that. So we do have to collect fees, so we have to have a line for that. Friends, our Friends group, as you can see, is a strong source of our funding. They've committed $8,000 to us this year for various projects, mostly programming. All of our programming at the library is either from the Friends or from grants. So the grants here, this is grants, these are program grants, that $750 specifically, not anticipate, don't know about any of the grants for sure to include here. And then probably that COVID opera grant, that line can come out, because I think we managed to go
Which
through
line?
that cycle.
Oh,
ARPA.
yeah.
COVID, yeah, I think that we finished that in 2021, so I'll just take that line out so we're not confusing everybody. Interest, the trustees have a few trust funds, a small amount of money invested in New Hampshire Public Deposit Investment Pool right now, and it's earning better interest this year, and Bob Seston will tell you, so that's kind of exciting. And, library sales, we occasionally sell something and get some money for it. As you can see, it's very little. Memorial funds, we did receive some last year, and haven't yet this year. Actually, we have, and that was unexpected. Trust from income, that's the trustees. The trust funds hold some of the library specific funds, and they give us a check for the yearly interest once a year, and that usually comes at the very end of December.
Mary, can I ask a question on the interest up above? Will there be a number that will go into that line, or?
No, that's sort of, it's not, it's you can see, it's $1.69.
Oh,
So we don't really include a whole lot of funds in there.
okay.
And when we get it, it's great. We can buy, I don't know, 6
Pack of
stamps.
gum?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the town appropriation, as you can see, we're a town-supported library, and that's where the big chunk of change comes from. So as you go down, and every year it says funds returned to town after audit. So every year, what we don't expend of the funds that came from the town appropriation, we give back to the town. And that's what we did back this year, and we give that back the following year. So that 16,000 came to the town in 2023 from the library. So advertising, and that's kind of a lot. We try to, budget a little closer, but it's been an interesting few years with the grants that come that actually offset some of our costs, and then we also had some other things happen that meant we didn't need to spend all of it. Advertising publicity, we have to publish when we have a public hearing, we have to publish it in the newspaper. It'd be nice not to have that be a requirement, but it is by law right now. Bookkeeping, we have a bookkeeper, which is essential, in my view. We have a bookmobile project we're working on with 3 other libraries, and there's a potential for a large grant here, but I'm not entirely sure it will be handled by our library or some other entity. But that's just in development, and it's going to take a couple of years to really come to fruition. Copier, that's pretty much what you expect. Equipment furnishings, fees, again, we spend fees. We spend the income from the fees when we replace a book, and we also pay fees when we need to discard technology. There's a fee for that. When we need to pay for a book that we've lost from another library, so that's what that is. Full-time employee benefits, we have 1 full-time employee, and the benefits are the New Hampshire retirement system and health care, and right now that's the stipend. We do budget for the single-person plan, just in case that's needed every year, but if we don't need it, we don't request those funds from the town. As you can see above in town appropriation, like 2022 approved, and the actual is different, and that difference is pretty much what we're not taking for to pay for the single-person health plan. Grants, projects, and programs. These were all grants that we anticipated or had in 2023. That was a grant from the Tamworth Foundation, I believe, mostly, and some other grants, smaller grants. The information, this is our computer technology, library materials, that's the books and the materials we buy to circulate at the library. For the most part, professional development, that's the conferences and training and workshops and all of that. Memorial Fund projects, this is the stairway, the walkway, the railing and the steps, and getting that all squared away. Personnel expenses, there's some expenses to do with using QuickBooks for your payroll. And that's what that is. Postage and delivery, that's pretty obvious what that's for. Programs, that's the program funds. So anything we do for summer reading program, adult programs, we have a speaker come and we need to pay them. We have some supplies, that all comes out of here, and that's all funded by the Friends. Repairs and maintenance, that's pretty explanatory. That also includes getting our HVAC system service, getting the alarms serviced every year, and the fire extinguishers inspected, but also anything that happens around the building that needs fixing. We generally need some electrical work done every year, some inevitably breaks. Repairs, maintenance is, I just said that. And salaries, so this is the one that's gone up, and I will tell you there are 2 new positions in here, very part-time. One's a 3-hour assistant janitor. Our building is way busier than it has been before COVID. And people are coming and they're hanging out and they're using the upstairs and the downstairs, both are coming in and out the back door because we use our outdoor space very effectively. But that also includes tracking and using dirt and all that. So we really could use the building on over a couple of times a week, not just once a week. And 3 hours pretty much gives you enough time to vacuum the upstairs. So we're hoping to add 3 more hours a week for janitor.
Rick doesn't do the library?
I can't hear you.
Does Rick not do the inside of the library? I know he
No.
does the outside.
With the outside. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, and the other second position is to have our archive librarian continue. We've had a grant-funded position, and it's been really, really valuable to our library, and also providing researchers better access to our records. And just having someone be able to do that work who has been trained to do that work, because it's
Is that
very
Molly?
specific and very persnickety. Yeah, yeah. It's very specific work that needs specific training, which she has. So it'd be nice to keep her on through the year if we can. We have enough funds to pay up through town meeting from the Tamworth Foundation grant her position. Anyway, brought that position to us, and it's been really valuable. And right now we have she's working with some volunteers to transcribe the handwritten records, and there's, I think, 4 volunteers right now working on it, and there are more will be starting. So not only are they, doing the work, they're also learning some cool history. Other than that, we have supplies. We have phone, internet hotspots. We have 2 hotspots. We have one for the library to use when we go out on the road. We can bring a computer and bring our whole system with us, so we can sign people up for library cards wherever we go, that kind of thing. And we have one that gets checked out. And the hotspots were purchased by a Tamworth Foundation grant during COVID, and this is just to pay for the connection. And that's hotspot works with the Verizon. That's the one that works best in town. Has more coverage. And electric and AC, that's obviously the AC is electric, but that's what we've been calling it for years. Heat, again, we use propane for our heat, and water and sewer, that's pretty self-explanatory. So that's what it comes to.
What's the security services?
Security services, oh, yeah, there it is. That's our alarm system. So I know I mentioned that with repairs, but it's in a separate line. Excuse me. Security system is the alarm system.
Okay.
That's online. On the other 3 pages, it just gives you that, but it's broken out into more gnarly detail for those who are interested. This helps me build the budget. So I usually provide this at this point in case someone has a question about what specifically is an applicable item. It's right here for you to see. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions?
No. I guess my big question for you would be, I'm trying to find, every year we try to learn what the town is planning to do for employees as far as any kind of cost of living increase or anything like that. So it would be nice to know if you have an idea what that number might be, that it would help us align.
Oh, so that's not included in theirs yet?
Is your 170, that's a straight, there's no increase in there?
There's a 4% increase.
How much, 4%?
That's a 4%.
Yeah,
4,
4,
okay.
Yeah.
We're using 3.
And is that, that's what I stuck in there, And then every week I kind of say, all right, now it's
Some
time to
point
think
we
Because
about
we
it.
haven't voted on it
I
yet, but
think
we've
it's
been
time to
using
vote,
3,
but
yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
it's,
we were looking at what's it called? Now it's gone right out of my head. So the Social Security, that increase is gonna be 3.2 next year, but the consumer price index is 3.7. So,
is it
so
right now?
and if you look at the detailed budget, we did calculate what 3% would be, and that would reduce our budget by $1,274 if we change that to 3.
Okay.
Okay?
There's a range of price indexes, and consumer is 3.6 in August, so I need to get a more updated one for September. But like the producer price index is down 4.29, and so there's a whole range of levels. The New Hampshire Municipal Association recommends the municipal cost index, which is only 1.23. I think that overly relies, in terms, if we're doing this for salary, the reason that's so low is because the producer price index and the construction indexes are low. So it's not what the average employee is dealing with. So I would definitely not do it for that. But maybe for other budgets, that might be a relevant number to plan to. So,
We're paying $220 a month for internet. Is that because of the 600 down? It just seems pretty steep.
That's what we pay. Me on a computer, period,
Really?
because it's a commercial.
Can you repeat that?
he was thinking that the 220 for the internet bill seemed like a lot, and was wondering why.
Okay, we have generally about between 8 and 12 computers going in the library at once, and everyone who comes into the library connects to our system. So we need a stronger connection than, say,
Even
the
us,
town office.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we upped it during COVID because it was creepingly slow, and so we had to up it. So we're getting 600 megabits per second from Charter, which is Spectrum right now. They will give us 35 megabits per second for free.
That's useless.
Yeah.
It's completely useless, yes. So we had to start paying for internet in 2019. It took me 6 months to get that change made with Spectrum.
Yeah, I think we're paying $197
Wow.
for phone and
And
internet.
Wow.
we're seriously considering going with Fidium when they come into town and
Sure.
hoping that they're competitive.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Is there any questions? No.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Betsy,
Thank you all.
for being a
Love
present.
that library.
Present.
Right.
Next would be Kim.
Oh, yeah.
We want to ask Kim to come in?
Yeah, she's
Okay.
waiting for us to tell her.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks,
night.
Betsy.
Will do.
All right, what page is this on?
I even numbered the pages. Where did I put my
Page
Put
budget?
it right in the
5.
center.
Well, no, not
Middle of
that.
page 5.
Yeah,
Page 5.
yeah, it's right in the center. That's
I'm
what I
only a
was
few
saying.
minutes behind again.
So did you take the library first? I didn't miss.
Yes.
Okay.
No, only
we just went
because
to
Took
the
them out
library
of order
first,
because she
yeah.
was here.
Huh?
Took her out of order because she was here.
Keats, that internet policy
Pays
that
to
we
show
just
up.
got into, or the contract, they don't do anything outside of the municipal buildings, right? So the library.
do they do the library?
Because she has support hours on here.
Yeah, and that was a question I meant to ask, but I got way late. And I can ask her. I don't know.
I just want to double dip if we are
I
getting
don't
coverage from
think
them.
that they are. No, it's a separate.
I don't remember seeing them
I
listed
wonder
in
if
the
she's
policy
using
or the
who
contract.
she's using. I'll email her about it.
It's not a huge figure, but
No, it's. I just want to know contractually.
Where are we? Oh, there we are. Da-da-da. Here you go.
Good evening.
Evening.
You should have got my ruler.
You're up.
So,
Don't talk.
do you want
What's
to go
new?
down through and
What's your line by
You
line?
can, yeah, this is the biggest increase in 18 years, so we might want to go.
do you want to go down through and explain the lines and where am I?
Page 5,
Yep, middle way. Tax.
Yep.
Or tax
2024.
Yeah.
So, starting, are we starting with the town clerk tax collector
Yes.
part first? Okay. So what I did is I reduced my part-time line to 4,000 because I'm taking 20,000 of that and putting it in my full-time line that we've, I don't want to say created, I guess, that we're eliminating the warrant article and we're having everything all back under the budget again. So I've included in my full-time line, besides my salary and a deputy position full-time, going from part-time.
So that first line, 120 is part-time salaries. It just says salaries, but it's part-time.
The salaries up top, yes, just part-time, and I left 4,000 there.
For just like occasional help.
For,
kind of thing.
yep,
Yeah.
because in case the full-time person and myself can't be here, we've got some backup.
And just so it used to be you had a separate warrant article for you, and then the rest of it was in general government, right?
Or under my town clerk tax collector, which fell under all
I think general
the other
government.
departments.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so now that whole thing is just going to go into that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And it's separate because it's an elected position?
It was separate because at one point it became that way.
So
Okay.
it was traditionally just separate.
Initially, when I started, it was all together like this.
And now
Okay.
it can go back to being that way.
Yeah. And then the warrant article was created during some of my tenure,
Got it. And now it's going back.
and now it's going back to, yes. I'm up for re-election this March, so
Yeah.
I figured and I do plan on rerunning, so I thought within the 3-year term, or if it's all back into the same,
It's streamlined this way.
yes, thank you, the same budget.
Yeah.
That would be. In the past, I know there are some other towns, what's happened is if the difference, I guess, between the warrant article and having this the way back to where it's going is if the elected official, the town clerk tax collector, as an elected official, wanted an increase or was asking for an increase more than maybe what the board wanted or what the board was giving to full-time employees or to everybody, COLAs, whatever, that could be brought out in a separate article for that
the
elected
town to vote on.
official's salary for the town to vote on. Yes.
And does that same thing, I mean, this is not about your budget, but does that same premise work for like Richard's position because he's elected?
Well,
Or is it, or a tax collector is just their own weird thing?
it's the own weird thing for town clerk tax collectors, or
Okay.
even just town clerk, as an elected official.
Okay,
I know in the warrant article, not warrant article, I know in the RSA for the road agent, it states that the road or highway agents are under, I don't know the exact wording, but fall under the direction of the Board of Selectmen.
okay, so the RSA has
Yes,
language in it.
it doesn't say that for the town clerk as an elected official, or the combined position as an.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
that's the
That
reason
makes
it's
sense.
elected is because the town clerk is always elected, and if it's combined, it just is town clerk tax collector is a combined elected position.
right,
I guess that makes sense why we do the performance eval for the road agent,
and not
not
for
the tax
Kim,
collector.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yep, okay,
Question.
thanks for the lesson.
In your budget for the full-time deputy, that theoretically is starting January 1st, right? We have a full year budgeted?
Well, I don't dare do it unless I know I have the money for a full-time position with health insurance and retirement until I know it passes at town meeting. So I don't have a problem with it waiting until after we know we have the funds and it's been approved, that
Okay.
I create that position full-time.
As of like April 1st or
Right.
something?
So this full-time budget reflects a half year of the
Or-
deputy,
3/4.
Yeah, I guess it would, but my only thought was in saying that I kept thinking, because I only lost $4,000 in the part-time line, I kept thinking I would be able to, I was gonna pay that. I forgot about the January through March thing, or January
Right.
through April.
So
I
it
don't,
shows the whole year, even though you don't think you would start till.
I don't dare start until I know the town has let us, because this involves health insurance and New Hampshire retirement too, for a full-time position, versus a part-time doesn't receive those benefits, so. I would feel more comfortable waiting
Yeah.
and making sure it was
Yeah.
approved at the town meeting.
Okay, so the 4,000 is enough to cover that person until, as a part-time until March?
I was thinking, yeah, I think so.
Or out of the other line too? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
what, I wasn't sure how, I know everyone says it's the bottom line at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I do try to stay within
Yeah.
the means
Yeah.
of whatever, so. But yes, so it'd be January through March. I was either thinking we had somebody, because Libby was willing to stay on until my reelection, thinking that, or until I rerun or the election is over or whatever, in regards to covering the office the 1 day a week she still does, until we knew that the full-time position was granted. So that's kind of where I left that $4,000 just for her once a week. But if I'm paying current deputy part-time out of that, then maybe, I don't know if I need to up that or not, or whether we can use it out of the full-time.
Well, if that, I don't know what the breakout is, but if that
Yeah.
budget is for a full year,
I think I did it for a full
yeah,
year,
then
that's
just
why I'm thinking, I'm
swap some
trying
of
to
it out to
remember.
the part-time line.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you're not really gonna add to your budget, you're just gonna shift to a
right, I'm
different
just gonna
line.
shift it, but I don't know if I need to do that or not, so I
We
wasn't sure.
can ask Elaine, I don't think you do, but
Okay.
we can ask Elaine.
Okay, if we need to, but it wouldn't change the total dollars.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
The others goes along the the FICA, Medicare, obviously workers' comp goes with what we've shifted down to. It's an election year, so that the election materials has increased because of the 4 elections this year. And then the postage also for absentee ballots, I upped that. And as well as, what was I thinking?
how come that election stuff goes under your budget? I mean, I know that the town clerk runs the elections, but how come it goes in your budget when there's a separate section for election and registration?
Well, the material part, I guess, is the coding of the memory card, the printing of the ballots and that kind of thing. I
You're in
think
charge of the.
I'm
So it's
in
the actual
charge,
physical
yeah,
part
yes,
you're in charge of?
yes.
Okay.
And the other part is more the supervisor's role, I
Okay.
think is why they've kept it the way they have.
And remind me about the ballot counting machine, that's good for how long?
The one we have has been here since Chris Canfield and I started in '06.
Oh, well, yeah.
But isn't there
So
some,
there's a new one coming, and I've given
Okay.
there's quotes, and they're both kind of in the ballpark. We can use the one we currently have up through March 1st,
oh, okay,
which another reason we were doing that is because we want to make sure we have the funds granted at town meeting to purchase the new one this year. Because technically we could still use, I think we can use it for the full 2024 year.
that's what I couldn't remember, whether it
Yes,
was okay to use it all year.
But I know, I know why, something about the ballot commission approving as of March 1st, these machines, and that you could still use you didn't have to purchase them in 2024. But that's what I budgeted in my equipment line, that's why that's
That's the
gone up. It's
7,000.
the 7,000 is the machine for that. And then, of course, below, once you put a full-time employee in, you increase the health insurance and the
Right.
New Hampshire retirement system. And unfortunately, it comes on an even year with 4 elections, so it looks
So
worse,
it's,
unfortunately.
yeah, yours is pretty straightforward.
Do you have any questions?
I will say, the outsourcing of our tax bills, that's been, the only reason that's increased over the years is truly for the postage increases. They do a super job, it's well worth having it outsourced. Mailings Unlimited out of Portland, Maine, and they just do a great job. And they're familiar, I've switched, I updated the clerkwork system in August to include our motor vehicle. A lot easier to cash out, much more straightforward. Libby and I have been together, she's been 16 of my 18 years with me. We brought everything in, so we knew how to do what we had brought in. I guess I just felt in regards to that update that it would be easier for those future people and part-time or deputy as well, or any part-time, to if they didn't have strong accounting or financial skills, I guess, it's much more straightforward and a lot easier at the end of the day to cash out. All the reports are right in the same place now, everything's right there. We updated to Avatar to match our assessing software in September. So we're working with that. This will be our first billing that we are using that Avatar software, which is now matching assessing and seems to be going well. And just trying to set them up to move from the data file usually send from a different software, the BMSI software, from the Avatar. So they're working on that, but it's not an issue because they work with it anyway. So, but just to let you know that is updated as well with the newer software programs.
So, back to the outsourcing of the mailing. Two different people have asked me if the town ever puts in notices into tax bills, you know, like informational notices.
Yeah.
Is that ever done? Is it legal to do? Can it be done?
I haven't done it. I don't know that we've ever really had a need to do it. Everything is printed on the front of the bill that has to be on there, with some additional notices.
You mean unrelated to the
Yeah,
tax
no, I
bill?
mean unrelated,
Yeah,
like.
there are certain unrelated things you can put as inserts. I haven't done it, and I'm not that familiar with what can and cannot be. But yes, there is certain protocol and certain things that can go in, and others that can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I don't have any specifics more than that, but
Yeah.
people have asked, and I was like, don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure it can just be a friendly reminder or something. I think it has to be some formal, something that's going on, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was gonna say, one of them, and I can't remember what meeting I was at, but one of them was saying, like, what if the town put in an insert in a tax bill that said, hey, there are all these committees and whatever that you can volunteer to the town, and there are this many openings for each of them.
Yeah.
You know, because the website, the Tamworth Exchange, the whatever, people don't always look
Right,
online, but
yeah.
everybody gets their tax bill.
Yes.
Like,
I'm not sure that that's a permissible one. I mean,
Yeah.
we could certainly look into that, you know, to find that, I don't know if it's an RSA, I believe, that states what is allowable and what
Yeah.
wouldn't qualify.
I'll look it up.
Yeah,
You don't have to
we
look
can
it
look-
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
just curious, what's up with the $1 legal expenses that's been pulled over?
It was suggested we leave $1 in
Yeah,
there
yeah.
in case, I used to have 1,000 in there for me to contact our legal assistants or
It's a
attorney.
budgeting thing, so you
It is.
can't legally spend that appropriation line if it's at zero. So for some things that you just wanna keep open just in case, but not really budget real
Okay.
money for, you put in $1.
So you can't reallocate into a blank.
Into a zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had it there initially in regards to the leading and deeding process. So if I had any questions or I had any concerns or whatever, that I could do that directly with the council. Not that I can't go through with Keith, especially some of the deeding
Yeah.
questions we may have.
Yeah.
So,
This was a quiet year.
yeah. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
That way.
Double knocker, yes. So,
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, thank you for coming in
Thanks
tonight.
for everything.
Thank
Yeah.
you, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
So are we gonna
let's see, so we did tax collector,
We're
Sharon,
gonna do election registration or wait on that.
she's
See,
not here, so
Okay.
Go to
we'll,
government.
I'll
Yep.
bump her to next week, I guess.
we'll move on to the energy committee with Gabrielle Watson.
Alright.
Way on the bottom of
that-
page 6.
Page
Bottom of
6.
I know that the bottom line, the total budget's gonna be astounding at $950 total, but this is a new line item that the town hasn't had before because we haven't had an energy committee before. So what we have in here are, the biggest line item is under the dues, subscriptions, training, and mileage line item, and what that is the municipal membership to the Clean Energy New Hampshire, which was just approved recently by you all. That's $250 for the annual membership, and it entitles us to 2 tickets to the annual local energy solutions conference, which is coming right up, I think, November 2nd or something like that. So the town now has 2 tickets to that that it can use for any of you all. I know Keith's had interest in it. Unfortunately, it's on a Thursday, so it's not ideal for.
We got confirmation of our sign up, right? I sent it to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just finalizing that now. If the committee doesn't want to, and this is a little bit of digression, but if the committee members don't want to use those tickets, members of the energy committee, I'm sure, would be interested in going and sharing what they learned back with the committee afterwards. So that's something that I'll work with Keats to sort of figure out if one of you would like to come, great. It's going to be a lot of fun. If not, then I'm sure we can fill those spots.
Yeah.
So that's $250 for the membership, the annual membership, and then I included in there travel to Concord for 2 people. So roughly $81 compensation for that. Then the other line items are printing, which is, one of our main missions as an energy committee is to keep people aware of opportunities and what's going on, and so printing posters, informational things like that about our events.
But you're not doing mailings with them? They're more like handout?
Typically it's like posters that we would post places or
Okay.
handouts at events.
Okay.
We are one of the groups that might want to do a mailing if that were possible. So like, hey, you could get $6,000 towards energy efficiency, upgrades of your home if you applied right now to NH Saves, which is something that's like right now, if you have a leaky home, go to NH Saves, you could get $6,000 towards energy efficiency in your home, weatherization, that kind of thing. And it's undersubscribed, so people with leaky homes should do that. Newspaper advertising, so we're having 2 public hearings right now this year around community power. We may have other things like that might require newspaper advertising. And then the last thing is $150 for office supplies, which is, light refreshments at events to entice people to come, or if we're doing something with youth, we might have some youth entertainment. I don't know. It's a little bit of money just to get people more engaged, and that's our hope, is like more and more people get engaged and save more and more money on their electric bills. So that's our mission.
Do you need a postage line for mailings?
We hadn't thought that we would be doing mailings,
Okay. Well, next year. Maybe.
and we can reallocate, so
Okay.
And
so
that's one
far
of
it's
those-
been committee donations to do refreshments at our events, so that's something that we've been doing.
And I think long-term, it would be good to know, how are the tax bills inclusions restricted? Because that's one of the things you're already sending a bill out, a piece of mail out that we're paying for. Might as well put something else in there if we can.
I don't know, I have a funny feeling about that. I feel like it's an important document that people are getting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the biggest bill they're gonna get of the year.
Yeah.
It feels odd to me to put other stuff in it.
Other towns have done surveys, so when they're doing a master plan update to get citizen input on different issues, I've seen that done in other towns, so but it does feel like it should be an official town
thing. Yeah,
Thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Well,
that
there's not a
budget,
lot of questions on the budget, I don't think.
try to cut it back
It
a
is
little for next
100%
year.
increase, I will say.
I was actually gonna make that comment.
Okay.
Are there any questions? I
No.
don't think so.
Glad to have you guys doing that
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting in the
Thanks for all
time.
your support.
Yeah.
Moving, thank you for coming in tonight. Moving
night.
on to the select board, town administration, data processing, legal, townhouse insurance, ambulance, street
These are-
lighting, landfill monitoring.
These are
health,
everything else.
each
Sort
one.
of. These are some. This is about half of everything else. So I'll start with the select board budget, and
You paid this for,
I'm just gonna float an idea, and you all can,
yeah.
ignore it. But I don't know when the last time the select board. Oh, I can see that there's a language problem there, Leanne. Anyway.
Oh, did you do it? And did you
got it.
catch it? Nice.
What page are we on? I'm sorry.
there
Sorry,
it is.
page 4.
Only the men are getting paid this year.
Only the men.
Well, as it
So
should be.
once
Exactly. You can feed your own damn pigs.
one suggestion,
We
one
digress.
thought is that you grandfather in an increase for select board members' pay if you felt that it would make a difference to attracting more people. So for example, when somebody's term is up, then the next term that slot could go up, and you would do that
Right,
rolling
right.
through the 5 terms, so that you're never voting in your own self-interest. If you see what I mean.
Right.
Just an idea. I'm not suggesting it go in this budget. I stuck 3% in just to give you guys a break, but it doesn't have to be in there.
Not
We
sure
can go
any of
back
us
to the
are coming from
15,000.
I was gonna say now we're getting 35 cents an hour.
Actually, when I signed up, I didn't realize.
No, you're getting
I
paid.
didn't either.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't even-
So that was a nice surprise.
Yeah, it was kind of nice. At least it's all at
You
once.
can
You
buy
don't get paid weekly.
one
That
snow
would kind
tire
of
for your truck with it.
So right now you get 3,000 a year, and I'm not suggesting you go up. It's just that's one model for if you think down the road people aren't going to do it because it's just so not worth it to them. I mean, they obviously don't do it for the money, but anyway. And then moving down the budget, really everything else is pretty much unchanged.
What are the dues and subscription?
Oh, what are the dues and subscriptions? There's New Hampshire Municipal Association.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And one other, which I am blanking on at the moment, but it's 2. And I'll email you what they are.
Not like Sports Illustrated or.
No, we could do that, but okay. So
You're pushing it tonight. Carl.
Sorry,
man.
I'm
He's
just
been
on
away.
vacation.
That's European vacation.
Yeah.
I took the advertising number down a little bit. We advertised much less this year, although there's still some things to come. But and then moving on to, unless you have questions about the select board budget, and the discussion about what you want to do in the future is you can have that whenever you'd like to. So the town administration budget, I actually have a suggestion to. So I, for my job, put in the standard 3%. If that isn't, we can change that number easily, obviously. But then what I did is the summer hours are much slower than September to March. And so I had a thought that if you cut 5 hours a week year-round, that's a 10% pay cut. But I think from September to March, it's probably not a good idea to cut those hours. So do a cut from mid-March to mid-September of 5 hours a week. That's a 5% pay cut. And I would be fine doing that if I could have 5 of my hours back during the summer. So that's why my pay is overall down. And it also helps to get my budget increase to 0 for the town administration budget. I'll keep going through that and you can tell me what you think about that idea. Salaries part-time, that represents our 24 hours a week of our tax assessor and, or assessing clerk, sorry, and 24 hours a week of our finance manager. Everything else, health insurance and dental, that covers me because the other two jobs are part-time. And everything else, those are calculations. Training, seminars, wait a minute. Yeah. The auditing services, I was actually under budget in 2023, so it looks like a giant jump, but it's just a regular big jump.
Can I just ask a question before
Sorry?
we get down there? So the health buyout stipend
Yeah?
that hasn't been used in a couple of years, but isn't that the stipend if somebody doesn't take the health?
Yeah. Is it, do I have it in here?
Yep, so the only reason I'm bringing it up is if by chance we do,
I don't have, it's zeroed out.
no, I know, but there's
Oh.
not even, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And like, what if something in that job changed, in the part-time job changed?
It
And they-
doesn't apply to part-time. It's only
Oh, that's only
for me.
Okay.
So
even in
unless-
our new personnel policy?
I don't
I
know.
can't remember. All right, well, we can change it if we need to once we get that back.
Okay.
I'm just thinking back what we just said about having to put a dollar in things in case they
Mm-hmm.
change.
I didn't know we had a timber monitor.
We do, and he's incredibly helpful. He comes and trains our assessing clerks and things like that. I want to check, I actually checked with, I have a question to Christine about the perambulation, given that the court case has theoretically come to a close, although I still haven't gotten any signed documents. She's nudging their lawyer now. And I don't know if it means that Paul needs to do an entire perambulation of that whole line or what. So right now there's a $1,500 placeholder, but we'll,
And maybe Sandwich will pay for that?
Yeah.
you could
When
ask.
monkeys fly out
Part of
of
the
somewhere.
settlement.
Just asking.
Okay, so other questions on this budget? Office supplies. My postage number in 2023 is too high. That actually has Kim's postage too. So anyway, I'm getting into the weeds here. Okay, so what's my next? Any questions on that one? And what do you think that,
So what you're suggesting is doing
35 hours a
35
week
for like a certain amount of months,
from, say, March 15th to September 15th, which
So
is
is that
6
6
months.
months?
Yeah,
and then the other 6 months doing
40.
40.
Yeah,
Okay.
and taking the appropriate pay
And
cut.
do you think that that's?
I think
I mean,
it's fine.
Do you think that's
I think it's
sufficient?
fine, yeah.
I would
I
be
mean,
in favor
I don't know if
of
this
that.
is a discussion we had in
If,
public
say,
either,
our clerk won the lottery and decided to go off into wherever, then I'd probably have to up my hours and solve it, but I would.
Okay.
You
But
know.
even if that happened, we still have the money in the budget already appropriated because she'd be
Right,
gone and we
right.
could reallocate
Would it be, I know obviously we want to keep the budget like as tight as possible, but would it be wrong to budget
Just to
for
keep it as the whole
the
position.
40 hours and then even if we,
It's
like,
not bad, yeah.
I mean, I'm not,
That
or
would
maybe
be-
split the difference
Or it would
something.
be a safer position. I think you're right. I'm just so eager to cut the budget.
Well, keeping it at 0%. Well, your postage is going to go down, though. You said so. I mean, right there.
Talking about nickel and diming.
As far as doing that, I don't.
Yikes.
I mean, I
All
don't
right.
see any issue with it. But I'm just thinking, as far as budgeting purposes, if for
It
some
might
reason,
be safer to have it at the full, in case
maybe,
there's an
or
emergency.
like I said, maybe we split the
Okay,
difference or something.
that's a good suggestion.
Just so that there's some wiggle room in there.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Why is equipment repair and maintenance down 45%?
Because some
Nothing's
of
been operating.
those items went into Rick's budget.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, okay. So the next budget on here is data processing. which is
Six.
on page
6, you said?
6, and it's 48,000. I mean, it just kind of blows my mind how much money we spend on between this is aside from the budget. I did a sort of a telephone bill assessment today of Verizon and Comcast. Consolidated. Consolidated is our landlines, 18,000 a year, and Verizon is our cell phones, and that's almost 5. So we're at like 23,000 a year just for phones.
Yeah.
I know. And the library, I was just realizing the library's on top of that.
Yeah.
So like 28,000 if you count the library.
It's over $500
And I have to pay for
a week.
landlines just because of my alarm system.
Oh, do you? Yeah. I
So
mean,
that is just
Total.
that's annoying. Yeah.
but not when you've got a 200-year-old building that's wood.
So our data processing includes it's $48,000, and it includes all the support for the tax kiosk, the assessing kiosk, ClerkWorks, which is Kim's, the finance software, which we're migrating to new software, and as well as tech support, our internet connection, our email costs, and our internet. I said that already. So yeah, so it just adds right up, and it becomes $48,000, and there's really nothing that can not happen in there. So it is what it is.
Like the 49,000% increase.
Yeah.
That's a good
Applies
one.
in training.
Yikes.
We really need some help.
50,000%.
Okay, I'm going to jump to legal, which is 2 lines down. As you know, we had a high number this past year because of the sandwich litigation issue. It's still, I brought it down to 30. You know, it could come down a little more, but things come up, and I could bring it down to 25 probably.
30 is better than 70.
Yeah, 30 is a lot better than 70.
I think 30
Is it
is safe.
is it NHMA that offers that free legal advice? That
I'm sorry, what?
the training that I took when I first got on the board.
Yeah.
Is that NHMA?
Oh yeah, they do offer free legal
But it's like
advice. It's very generic.
it's very
Okay.
generic. Like they don't want to deal with specific. Like if we ask them a perambulation question or they don't want to get into.
But
any
items like,
specifics.
can you put this in the town mailer for the
Yeah.
tax
Yes,
bill?
they could
Yeah.
totally answer that.
So do we use them for that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What else do I have? Legal townhouse is
Next page.
what page? It is
Page
page 7,
Oh yeah.
the bottom. Basically, the phone costs here are just wrong, and I'm gonna fix that. I had pulled it over, and I have to ask Elaine. Either they have 2 lines, and I only saw 1 on the phone bill. I'm not sure why they're so high here, but this seems very high. So I believe that the actual phone cost is $1,323. So anyway, if you bring that down, we're at a pretty much a 0% increase on the townhouse, and I'll figure out what the phone issue is.
Why does there need to be a phone at the townhouse?
I was just gonna ask the same question.
I believe it's the theory that if there was an emergency, it's a sort of an old-fashioned.
I know everybody's got cell phones, but maybe it's not.
It is the village.
It's also the number that you call to see if you can reserve the building.
Is it?
I think so.
But
You
I
mean
mean,
the
with that,
message?
And
you
there's
could
a phone
always-
message
Yeah.
there.
Well, but you could
You could add
change
that.
You
that.
could do that differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go to.
Definitely, if there's 2 lines, I could definitely see getting rid of 1.
Well, I don't think
But-
there could be 2. I just think that's probably we're just misattributing.
We could ask the fire chief, hey, is it a real good idea if we
Or
have a phone
Primex.
like
Well,
this?
there's also
Or Primex.
the rec department phone, which pretty much doesn't get used.
Oh, because it's
And there's also a rec department. We have to keep the internet, the Wi-Fi there, but the phone is $75 a month.
Why can't we use VoIP if we have internet?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Same thing
that's a
with
phone
phones.
that there's an opportunity to save on, which is
Yeah.
not nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the townhouse. I mean, in my mind, somebody said, well, you have to have an emergency phone at the rec department. Well, if you're out on the field and somebody's had an accident, nobody's going to run and find a landline.
Yeah,
They're going to use
out their cell
the
phone.
10
The
phones.
door's
that-
locked half the time anyways, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Not sure we need to keep
I'm sure we
it.
could get rid of that one.
Yeah.
Rec-
And
Um,
look into the townhouse one as well.
anyway, so we'll see. I can look into that. Okay, insurance is on page 8. There's really not much to say about that. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah. That's something really
This may
can't
go
help.
up a little. This is last year's price, but they're putting
is it?
together their bid, but
Page
it's somewhere in that range.
So that's for all town
That's not that
buildings?
bad.
That's
Yeah.
not that bad at
Yeah.
all. That's for all of the town buildings?
And yeah, and I think
I'm not gonna
Everything.
say that I think it's good because I don't want them to hear.
Yeah.
Who's the carrier? Because I wanna call them.
That's not bad at all.
That's not bad at all.
on page 9 we have the ambulance. Does anybody have an interest in attending the ambulance meeting coming up on a Monday very soon? I figured not, so I'm going. It's in Freedom, usually it's 6 o'clock, and I'll go.
And is it, what is that meeting about?
Well,
It's not negotiating.
it's really not, and I attended last year and I don't really,
Still don't know what it's about.
So it's once a year?
it's once a year, everybody sits around and looks at the contract that's been presented, and that's what happens.
Mm.
That's pretty much it.
Sounds pretty important.
I don't need to go.
We've already signed our next 5-year contract.
Yeah. So it's not like you're gonna alter the contract either.
No,
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's like a customer service opportunity to talk to them
Yeah,
about
gives you a
what
chance
they
to bitch
offer
if the
or
service
whatever.
wasn't
Yeah.
that good.
You know?
yep.
Okay.
And let's see, street lighting, street lighting, basically,
10.
this number is too high. We're spending on average close to 400 a month, so I'm gonna change that to 6,000 instead of 8,500. And then finally, the landfill monitoring and testing, it's, HEB sends us
Right.
the contract, and that's a mandated thing, so. Health officer stipend, no change to the health budget, that's on page 11.
We'll go back for a second to monitoring.
Sure,
Could you, next time you chat with HEB, ask them, when did this start? Because it's typically 30 years. I think we're 20-something.
Yeah, we're not
I
30
think it was
now.
2003, wasn't it?
Okay, so it's just
Well, that's
20.
when the new one opened, so presumably
So theoretically, this will go away at 30 years.
someday.
You can petition them to stop early, but you'd have to have some perfect test results, I think, for them to go
So
along.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll extend it past 30 if the results aren't
I
that good
can
at 30.
forward you the most recent
Yeah,
test results.
I'll
if
take
you
a look
want.
at it.
Okay. I'll put that on my to-do.
That doesn't include testing the water downstream. That's just in the wells, in the landfill.
Does HEB do the stream or does Green Mountain do that as part
It's-
of their regional testing?
I don't know.
HEB does the
HEB.
landfill testing, is that what you
No,
want?
The
but
state
we're
wouldn't
stream.
even take Green Mountain.
The,
Oh, yeah, and we have
the river
PFAS.
downstream from
That
the
was
landfill.
HEB testing.
Right, so they've
Yeah.
added PFAS to the thing.
Yeah, so there was PFAS.
And it's, the pretty good chance that's going to show up.
Okay, landfill health, that's it for me, for now. I might have some more fun highlights next week.
It's plenty.
Okay. I think that, it would help the department heads to finalize the salary.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion
Okay,
that we apply a 3% across the board COLA for town employees hired after some date, but I'm not sure what that date should be.
Or employees over 12 months. Is that what we did last
that
year?
was what we did last year, that any employee,
Over
Okay.
12. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
so-
second that.
okay, wait, I just need to make sure I got the motion. Motion to,
3%
uh,
COLA to all town
apply
employees.
a
Been in their
3%
positions for
COLA
at least
for
12
all employees, okay.
Second.
Oh, Carl already.
Oh,
my God.
Carl beat you.
geez, I didn't even think you were finished your motion.
What you
yet.
meant
That
to
was a
say is
little early.
Carl seconded that.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, I seconded it before it was typed in.
Yeah.
Now it's,
Roll
now
call
you are.
vote. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Okay.
Doing roll call votes when there are only 3 of us here totally screws me up. The cadence is wrong.
I
waiting.
think there's more often 3 than 5.
Really?
No.
We haven't had 5 in.
Well, because
Yeah, a couple months.
Carl's
Just
been in
a
the wind.
Now you
I
gotta
was
stop
away and
going
then
on
he was away.
vacations, man.
See, the retired guys,
Yeah,
they get to
but
drive.
4 is not 3. 3 is.
Okay.
3
Okay.
felt. Just felt
So what we meant to do last week and didn't because I bumped it and then we forgot to do it was just covering sort of the timeline and what I hope.
Is that, it's in, you didn't print it for us, oh, did you print it
Yeah,
last week? Yeah.
Yeah. What I hope would come at the end of this little quick review is a decision about whether we would continue to meet weekly or every other week. And I don't have an opinion on that. I just think it's something we should decide.
Well, I think. Do we have more budgeting stuff to?
There's a couple more, but
I mean,
not
we're-
much.
So we'll have next week and the week after, and then Thanksgiving, right?
Oh, come on, really?
No, 3 weeks and then Thanksgiving.
I think so.
Wow.
3 weeks and then
Next
Thanksgiving.
week is November,
I'm
So
still working on July 4th, okay?
and Thanksgiving's early.
so Thanksgiving week we'll have a meeting, and then it's. I mean I don't know. Does anybody? Right now, I think our agendas are heavy enough so that. I mean, I guess if you took budgeting off, obviously we
Right.
wouldn't have.
I think
anything.
once the budgeting's off, I
Yeah.
hope we can go back to every other.
And the
That's good
budgeting,
with me.
I mean, we sort of, mostly people have presented the budgets. There's a few left, I think. I have to look at next week's agenda. But, so then comes like the drilling down into the budget that you all have to do. Unless you want to just take the budget as is, but I wouldn't recommend that, probably. So, you know, maybe there's a work session that can be next week or whenever.
And then when's the,
When's the hearing?
budget hearing?
I mean, last year
Well,
what
that's
we did, it was across the board 5% cut. That's easy.
Yeah.
And, but not
The
always.
hearing's not till February.
Not
Oh.
necessarily.
Wow.
Hearings in the second Tuesday. I think it's the second Tuesday of February. And I'll check that date. But it usually, at least in the way that the person who trained me taught me, was that you do it after your petition articles are all in,
Oh, yeah.
Just like early.
Which-
and that's
yeah.
the first Tuesday
Yeah.
in February. So, just to quickly go through, we're in October and November. Just FYI, all the information and paperwork and numbers that the Department of Revenue needs to do the tax setting is there.
Okay.
And now the ball's in her court. And the ball for me is to bug her frequently enough that she gets this done soon. The goal is that we would mail out the tax bills at least by December 1st, ideally a little bit before then. Or a lot before then, actually. I mean, it'd be great to do it by November 15th. But, so we're working it. She told me today that she thinks it'll happen quickly, but you never know. Last year it took a while. Create a schedule. Okay, well, we're not doing that. Create wages for typical.
So in general, I just want to say, I think that the every other week model was smooth. You know, I don't mind having a little bit longer meetings once in a while. And then if we need work sessions, let's use work sessions that are like super focused, one agenda item.
You mean off the Thursday?
Off the
like you would do
Thursday,
it-
like if we need more work, more focus on something, then we schedule a work session.
like we did an 8 a.m. meeting or something.
Yeah, or I mean, it can be Thursdays at
Not
6. It
happening.
doesn't matter to me.
I'll see you guys Thursday nights.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me to keep it
Actually,
at the
during the
same
winter I
time.
could do that, but during the winter I could probably pull that off.
Okay, we might
Yeah.
quote you on that.
I'm just saying, it seems like if work comes up that needs to be queued on, we can do it. We can plug it in,
I'm with you on that.
and then have a little bit longer meetings every other week.
I'm fine.
But you mean starting immediately? Or,
When we're done with whatever
With
we
the
need to,
Yeah.
well, it's pretty close, right? Because
What-
we've
The other question I have is if we're gonna do every other week and maybe have longer meetings, would everybody be super opposed to do it starting at like 5 o'clock during the winter?
I'd love that.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
I don't like
It feels like
going
10
home
o'clock.
at 9 o'clock or
Yeah.
10 o'clock during the winter. I feel like it's
Yeah, I like that.
No, I think
Middle
that
of the
sounds
night.
great.
Middle of the night, I know.
yeah.
It
Because it
is.
gets dark so early. That's
It
my
starts
thought.
so
But
late. I'm sleeping so late in the mornings.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
horrible.
And there's no reason we can't start at 5, right? I mean,
No.
No.
No rules.
I mean, some people might say that people coming to the meetings don't have a chance to get out of work or whatever. But not many people come to the meetings anyway. So
And they can always come
And it's
at 6.
recorded,
yeah.
which is an excellent
I-
service.
That would be I'm fine with doing every other and having a 3-hour meeting or whatever. I just hate getting on at 9, 10
and if
o'clock.
we had non-publics, they would start at 5 too, I think. Then we wouldn't go
Yeah, or
down
it
at
makes
4:30.
No,
Yes.
no, just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it worked, I
And
would
you-
say.
Okay, so you're suggesting we go to every other week starting,
Well,
where's my calendar?
Well, if we go to every other week now and don't do next week, then I'm not going to be here the week after. So, and then I will miss Thanksgiving, and then I'm also going to miss a meeting after
We'll see you
Thanksgiving.
at Christmas.
Yeah, pretty
So-
much.
I was
Okay,
figuring
so let's-
December.
Let's look, so, today is the
Yeah, I know what you
26th. Next week is Thursday, the November 2nd.
oh, I had this was my wishful thinking. I already plugged into my calendar every other week starting November.
So why don't we
do
do
you want-
next week?
I think we should do next week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
then
then no 9th and then no 23rd.
no 9th, but then we should do,
Because the 23rd is Thanksgiving.
yeah, Thanksgiving we need to meet, I think.
Okay.
Be meeting in my
Have
kitchen.
fun.
Instead of
I'm
doing
gonna be in
dishes, I'll be
Indiana.
happy with that.
I don't know if it really makes sense to go to every other until
December.
December. Because there's only 2 meetings.
Yeah.
Unless we just took out one meeting.
There's 3 meetings.
Unless we just pulled one
in
out
November.
randomly. But that's
Just pull the 9th.
I'm
So
not going to
we-
be here the 9th, so. it's
So
up
we
to you
do the
guys.
I might not be
second.
too.
Why not just go to every other? Why not?
Do the
go-
2nd, skip the 9th, and
16th
then...
and 30th.
Oh, there's a 16th. Okay, yeah.
2,
Okay.
16, 30 every other week. We're missing the 23rd
I won't be here the
anyway, so
30th. So.
you're gonna go away for
11,
the whole
2, 11,
Yeah, I'm
Thanksgiving.
gone the week after next, then I'm gone Thanksgiving week, and I'm gone the week after Thanksgiving.
week. Carl's gonna be busy with that gavel in November.
Okay.
Might have to move.
I'm only going to
tables.
miss, no, I'll only miss one meeting.
You just
Right, because we're not going to do the 23rd.
Hold on.
Right.
So if we
Yeah,
do,
I'm only going to miss the
The
30th.
30th.
oh, because
Yeah,
because the 9th you're gonna be gone. yeah.
I'm gone.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll work perfect for me. I won't even
Okay.
seem like I'm absent all the time.
Okay. So... okay.
Next
Wait,
week,
I
we'll
have,
be here.
okay, we will be here next week, which is good.
So we saying starting the 16th, the meetings will start at 5 and they'll be over the week?
16th, we are not having a meeting, but we could do.
Yes,
do you
we
want
are.
to do?
Yes, we are. It's the one before we're not.
9th. Sorry.
No, we're having the 2nd, 16th.
Sorry.
And
Why don't we
30th.
start it on the
Six.
2nd for the month of November
5 o'clock?
at 5?
Okay.
Okay.
Ah, that was stressful.
Okay, so 5.
So 5
My head is
o'clock on the
spinning.
2nd, the 16th, and the 30th. Okay.
5 o'clock
Got it.
forever,
Got it.
not AM.
All right.
Repeat every 2 weeks.
I'll put
All
it
right.
in my
I am done
calendar.
with
Yeah,
my...
it's that way. That's weird.
I'm done with my budgeting thing for now.
I'm clairvoyant, apparently.
Okay.
I love how
Okay.
this works. It's like magic.
So, moving on to request for letter of support with the culvert modernization proposal with the
Green Mountain.
Green Mountain Conservation Group.
Yep.
I didn't know exactly what that stood for.
Yeah.
But, so are we just voting to support the letter, or are we having some type of
Is it in the
discussion?
signature file too, or?
It should be in the signature file.
Yeah, but do
No,
we need
I don't
to?
think we did. You no, because we'd have to plug in the blanks
What?
because they give us a template.
Oh,
So you remember I sent you this. I forwarded this, and I think I forwarded Tara's message too, didn't I?
I think so.
So this is a letter requesting, not just from us, but from
Right.
Conservation Commission, from the Planning Board, from Richard Roberts, and from all those same counterparts in all towns in the Saco
Saco
watershed.
watershed.
And so what they're asking is, it was like a 5-phase, do you have it right in front of you? So I'm not, I mean, you just correct me if I missed something big. It's like a 5-phase process over multiple years that starts, this letter of support is for phase 1, which is getting grant funding to do a big assessment of need. To look at, I don't remember what it was, 300 or 400 culverts that they'd
I think they
identified.
estimated it was
To look at them, check the
450 plus.
450 plus, to check the condition that they're in, to see if a replacement is needed, or if some other water bypass system would be more appropriate for the environmental and, I don't know what you call it, like infrastructure mitigating water damage. So what they're asking is that we support them in requesting this funding to do a study. The money, like, that we would have to pay for, like, if they identify 100 culverts in Tamworth that need some kind of replacement, that kind of money expenditure question comes down the road. We're not committing to replacing anything, we're just committing to see if there's
A need.
a need.
And presumably, at that point, there might be grant funding and.
Yeah, and they seem like they're committed to seeking grant funding for all steps of the process, but right now they just want us to say, yep, we think it's a good idea to know where we stand, especially given storms like what was it, May 1st? That wiped out so much infrastructure in the towns. So they gave us the sample letter. I think we just plug in our names into those blanks.
Do we need a vote, though, to approve?
I think we need a vote to say that we would use their template and send a letter of support.
So we're gonna make a motion.
Is somebody making a motion?
I make a motion that we use the Green Mountain Conservation Group's template for the letter of support for the culvert modernization proposal and the letter of support.
Second. Keats, will you use that template? Just fill it in for us?
Mm-hmm.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Aaron, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Moving on to old business, townhouse update.
Yes, Rick has been busy working away in the fire escape. I'm not sure if he finished, but I went and looked at what he was doing today, middle of the day. He's replaced all the stair treads, the upper landing, much of the bottom post. He found some rot there. Some of the sheathing and trim boards that were attached to the bottom post. He still had a little bit of work to do, a little bit of trim rot on the railing, halfway up and up on the upper landing. Some of the, I don't know if there was any pressure treated lumber in it anywhere, which is kind of surprising. Wow. So there's no surprise that it rotted. He was going to look at, if you remember, the posts are clad in trim, so you can't really see what's in there, so you have to pry that off and see what you got. So I think the work was looking great, and he's of the opinion that we should be fine for years. He's going to coordinate with the fire chief to come look at it as well. He's already been in discussion with the fire chief. So he took a lot of pictures, which was good to see, so we have a record of the rot, how it was repaired. And maybe by the next meeting, he can report that he's done, and it looks great.
Good.
Fantastic.
The only other thing townhouse related is that we did get that grant for the window rehab. Carl and I are going to try to meet with Gene Chester, the contractor. And as soon as we start a schedule and submit it to the state, they'll give us half the money for the grant.
Good.
And they give us the other half when we're done.
Great. That's going to look nice.
Moving on to ordinance compliance discussion.
I sent around a revised job description for the compliance agent, which some of you may have read. It was yesterday about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So what I did is I took, it took me a while to think about what do you call this person, to make it clear what this person does, but to make it sound as friendly as you can. So right now it's called compliance agent. I like the word agent. It is a legal term that this person is acting as our agent, select board's agent, and the job is to help people comply with the ordinances. I listed all the appropriate ordinances, floodplain, groundwater, subdivision rules and regs, And then I mentioned junkyards that has been delegated to the municipalities. And got a little bit of input from the planning board and the conservation commission, and that was helpful. And I think we just really need to decide, do we post it and look to hire somebody?
Yeah. So, I was talking to Keats earlier today about select board job description, and the things that we're statutorily required to do, the things that we need to do because there's really nobody else to do them, the things that are that have somehow kind of rolled into our purview. And for instance, it's been brought to our attention that the buck stops with us in all kinds of ways. And what I'd like us to do, speaking of work sessions, I mean, we could do it at a regular meeting session too, is, and maybe do it over time, is have some conversations about what we have to do,
What we like to do, stuck with.
but what we're doing, because I think this happens in any work that people do. You end up doing a lot of stuff, and when you stop and say, why am I doing that? Because it has absolutely no impact on what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to do it, but really...
And it's eating up your hours.
It's eating up my hours. And so I'd like us to kind of have that conversation a couple of times over this winter. And then in the spring, the planning board in the spring, as soon as like new people come on, they make planning board goals for the year. And so I think that that's a nice idea for us to kind of be coherent around not just coming to these meetings and going through the steps of what we have to do, but also kind of doing some purposeful strategic planning around the office. And so for instance, I went through this whole policy book today, and
That's big.
don't even open it.
I don't plan on it.
And Keats had found this spreadsheet on her computer that has an update. Looks like it was last updated in 21, but it's got the years when these policies were last updated. And but we don't know if that update was to change like just the name of the insurance carrier, or if it was more forensic than that. So I grouped the policies into like 6 different kinds of groupings, like employee related, health and safety related, town administration, town buildings. And so one thing we could decide to do is start a rotation where we look at that chunk of policies every year, and in some subcommittee, it doesn't have to be all of us, get in the habit of redoing those. The other thing I was thinking about, we spend a lot of time, and this came up at the planning board meeting the other night, all of the committees and boards delegate us all out. So people from the planning board are coming to the conservation committee meeting, people from the select board, and we're all reporting back, which is, it's interesting, but is it the best use of our time to add another meeting to the month when we could get regular reports of the minutes from the Conservation Commission or the library or whatever, have those come into us as a report, and maybe we call in the department, the committee chairs twice a year, the way we call department heads in a year, and have them report out to us. Maybe people are like, no, I love going to the Conservation Commission or whatever, but I'm mindful of the fact that we're trying to get people on these elected boards, and the trickle down of responsibility is starting to kind of gush, and I think it's a real deterrent for people. And I think what happens is there's not enough time in the day to do the stuff that we really are supposed to be doing, like figuring out how to enforce something if enforcement ever becomes an issue. So nothing to be discussed tonight. I'm just putting it out there that I'd like us to kind of dig into what we should be doing, like what our actual responsibilities are as select board members, and see if they're is a gap between what we're supposed to be doing and the way we really do spend our time, and if there's a way to tighten up our time.
Yeah.
To be more efficient, to be, just doing a better job for the town.
That makes sense.
That's a good thought.
In our meeting I think it was the last meeting, when this issue of the enforcement of the groundwater protection ordinance came up, I think we were all kind of surprised there was still more work to do. We thought we'll just have somebody enforce it, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize till pretty recently that, well, the subdivision rules and regs, that's our job too. So Leanne and I had some conversations with Keats as a CC with the attorneys, and all the enforcement of everything comes right here.
Right.
Even if you wanted to, we can't delegate it back to the planning board, which was, I had this idea that I might do that, but forget about that.
Yeah.
So if Christine made it very clear, it's our job and we're stuck with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of towns don't do it because they don't have the time or the expertise, whatever, but it is still our job.
Well, that's why we would hire someone.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And the thing that's not clear to me is, okay, do we need to do anything more than hire somebody and hand it off, or do we need to do more? That's the big question.
Yeah.
So I did send emails out to 4 surrounding towns, to their town administrators, to find out what does their select board do to enforce their ordinances. Do you have regulations or internal guidance documents? Protocols is the term that we heard before, and where are they, and can you give me copies? So I think I emailed Sandwich, Molten Bow, Freedom, and Madison, just to get some examples. Sheldon reached out to several other towns, and he sent me some stuff as well from Jackson and a few other towns. So just to see, okay, what more do we need to do, at least to have? Or is it just something that goes on the website and we hand it off? We just need to make sure, if this is our first time enforcing something, we just need to do it right.
Right. But I mean, so for instance, if you, so you can put on the website, oh, the select board's in charge of enforcing this. If there's a violation, do they just call up and say, we need to talk to the select board?
Right.
Is there a form that they use?
Do we have hearings? How do you do appeals? Are there fines? How much are the fines? Can they escalate
Right.
with lack of performance? Luckily, they're all guided by RSAs, and one RSA covers general ordinances, so it'll cover floodplain, groundwater, and I think subdivision will be governed by one. Junkyard has its own. There's also a separate one for health related, which may come up if there's a groundwater issue, so you might need to have some understanding of that. At least have a place where that's all written down, so somebody can see where this is all coming from. Because otherwise, the ordinance may not say those things. They should reference the RSA, but I can't say for sure that they do.
Some do.
Yeah.
I mean, but it seems to me, so we also have other ordinances, so we have the noise ordinance, and I don't think people know, people are often complaining about noise.
Right.
And I don't think that there's a vehicle, there needs to be, to me, if we have an ordinance, there has to be this whole very clear paper trail that gets from, here's the law that let us create this ordinance, here's how you are in compliance, so with subdivision regs, they've got all of their applications, and so you go through that, but if you go through this and then something's wrong, this is where you go to ZBA, or this is how you go to the select board, and right now we have some of those applications, whatever, but we don't have anything after that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's gonna be as simple as just posting things on the website. I think we're gonna have to create whatever that thing is. And
So I think I can start that.
yeah,
If we hire somebody, that person will work with us to finish it. That's my thinking. I would like to raise the noise ordinance. I think at some point, either because we should figure that out, because they're having a number of people on the exchange complain about the noise, whether it's the racetrack noise or something else. There was a post about the noise of the construction behind this building, which behind the scenes I dealt with to some extent.
yeah,
And it's surprising to me how many people don't know the rules that are in place of anything.
yeah,
There were people who thought there was a Tamworth general noise ordinance. There never has been.
right.
Never was.
They know
You
they
would
voted
think-
for a noise ordinance, but
Right.
they don't really read what they were voting
I
for.
think
Right.
it's pretty much specific to the race.
That's all it
Yeah.
is. And even that, unfortunately, may not be worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate. It's hard for me to say that because the first time I ever came here was to deal with that as a resident, not as a member of the select board. But it's my opinion we got bad legal advice and it's not worth much. Which is why I haven't done anything about it since I've been here.
Yeah.
But I think that's a whole conversation separate of this. So it's not listed right now because I don't know if it's worth it.
Well, but that being said, it is an ordinance that we have, and so our only two options that I can figure are that we, if we don't think it's an enforceable ordinance, we consult legal about how to make it enforceable or make
Right.
it go away.
Either we fix it
And
or
if we
make it
don't
go
do
away.
that, we have to have some
Yeah.
measure that our compliance person can say, oh, here's your complaint, this is what I have to do about it.
Speaking of the compliance person, in the job description, I should have looked, but do you have a number of hours that you estimate?
I did. I said not to exceed 20 hours per week.
Okay, and, okay,
Because sometimes it's going to be real busy, other times there will be nothing going on.
Months for nothing, yeah.
so a range of 5 to 20 a week or
Yeah.
something like that.
I just say not to exceed 20, I think is what
Okay.
I said.
Yep.
Okay,
Part-time not to-
have you thought about a pay rate for that?
I think it's 20 to 25.
That's what you have.
I think that you will need to pay more than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complicated.
Yeah, it's not an easy job.
Could we
Okay.
see what like surrounding towns pay
Sure.
for whether
Yeah.
it's maybe they don't have
See, most of them have a zoning,
Right.
well
general
The building
zoning
inspector.
ordinance, and
okay, but what do they pay that position?
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, or building inspector or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. What do they
And there might be somebody who's got a compliance person who's part-time that
wants to?
yeah,
is
Jump
interested
onto-
in
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
expanding.
Okay, so I can check and see what other towns are paying.
So down the line, and maybe this is part of our conversation about what the select board does, when we come to the end of that kind of mulling things over, one goal that I would be thinking toward, and this plays into it, is what kind of like community listening sessions would it be useful for the select board to have once or twice a year? And for instance, you see all of this chatter on things like the Tamworth Exchange about the noise, whether it's for the racetrack or construction, and it was up on Great Hill Road, construction,
Yeah, that one too, you're right.
to be able to say, here are the ordinances we have, let's clarify
Mm-hmm.
the reality of what those actually say.
Yeah.
People complaining about somebody's bag of garbage in their yard. Nobody wants to look at it, but our hands are tied, So thinking about how to, maybe when we get this compliance person up and running,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's a good time to think about saying, hey, we just want you to know, this is the next step. Here's an educational moment for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we want to post this now or get some salary info before we post it?
I can,
Probably ought to get a salary.
yeah,
Yeah, because you want to put
nailed
it.
down.
yeah, put it
Yeah.
close to the right amount.
I'd say let's approve it and let Keith fix the salary, and then as soon as she gets that, she can post it. Are we meeting next week? I've already forgotten.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Is your thought that that we're gonna hire somebody who's gonna create these documents, or we're gonna hire somebody to implement them?
It all depends on how soon we hire somebody and how good they are. If we hire somebody really fast and they're really good, that person would do most of it. If it's somebody who starts in January, I'll probably have much of it done by then, and I'd rather not spend all my time doing it.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
so it all depends.
so that has to be clear in the posting that it's it's potentially a two-pronged.
Mm-hmm. I tried to find a way to put that in the job description, but I couldn't. That would be, description of your duties when you're sitting down with your supervisor as to let's do this now. I wasn't sure how to put that in a job description. That
I mean, it could be something like assist in refining.
Protocols and
Yeah.
forms.
Oh, it's in there.
Oh, well, there you go.
Assist the select board in developing of enforcement protocols, regulations, etc. So it's kind of short because I wasn't sure if
Yep.
it was needed.
And that's
Okay.
vague enough to go both
Yeah.
directions. Okay, so you didn't motion.
No. I make a motion, we approve the job description for the compliance agent and post it as soon as the salary is determined.
Second.
Do we have a maximum that we're willing or able to go in the salary?
Could we, I mean, we're
I
meeting
think we
next
should
week,
wait
right?
do the research, yeah.
Could we just make that decision next week after
Sure.
we hear back?
Well, I'm just saying, the motion just said that you're gonna plug in a salary basically, but if everybody else is paying $75 an hour around, are we
We'll
willing to go,
talk again.
are we willing to go $75?
I would,
Let's just wait till next week.
Yeah.
maybe,
Okay.
I
To be posted
I can't imagine it's
after next
75,
week's
but-
meeting.
okay. So, are we not doing the motion?
I'd say,
I don't think we need to do it yet.
yeah, if we're not gonna do
yeah,
it.
let's
post
just,
it.
I
Yeah.
would wait
Okay,
and hear what
so-
salaries and then we
But
can make a firm.
everybody should be reading it, because there's a potential that this, some people aren't gonna like this. It's gonna be junkyards, but worse. That's just the way it goes.
So, speaking of that,
Mhm.
and same topic, Charlie gave me an update. He was out.
Yeah, we all done with this?
Yeah.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. Charlie gave me an update. He was out for 2 weeks. So things kind of came to a standstill for a little bit. And he is working with the Title Bureau in Concord to sort through a mountain of forms related to titling abandoned vehicles. Because that seems to be the great holdup.
Yep.
So I thought that was really good news that that's the approach he's taking to figure out what they are and how he can assist in helping people get through that.
Great.
Yep. And so his time is up, both because he was ill and it's taking a long time. And so I think we need to extend the 2-month position to
Have we
the
also,
end of the year.
have we asked him yet about,
we did, he hasn't really answered. I think he needs to see the job description.
okay.
So that he can finish up
So do
the
we-
task we've given him.
We're almost in November, so do we just wanna
End of the year?
I mean,
extend
it's-
through the end of the year for now?
I guess it's end of year for now, and it might be longer, because
Yeah.
it may take him a while to work with the particular projects he has.
So what's the job title?
He is the Code Compliance Liaison.
Um,
Another model of.
I make a motion to extend the code compliance liaison's position through the first of the year.
It's not actually code, I'm sorry, it's Compliance Liaison.
Compliance liaison
Compliance liaison.
through the first of the year.
Compliance Liaison.
And Carl seconded.
Roll call vote.
You said yes.
Very yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no.
And I rescind my prior motion on adopting the job description.
Who seconded?
Carl.
Moving on to the administrator report.
I feel like all this budgeting process is your administrator report.
Yeah, that's my report, as well as today I got out all the documents on our open enrollment for health insurance. So every full-time employee that qualifies got a thick packet of papers, and the open enrollment period will be from November 6th to the end of November. And then in December we then let Health Trust know, and everybody's good to go. So that was that, and budgeting. Bank balance is $2,712,390. Sue is going to be starting her 3 days a week on Tuesday,
Oh, good.
so she'll be here regularly. She's had 4 days of training. She's catching on fast. She's great with customers. So I think she's working out well.
Cool.
And Emily's a great trainer. So, moving ahead.
I make a motion to approve the select board meeting minutes for October 19th, 2023.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You saying yes?
Fair abstains. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 4 yes with 1 abstention. I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes for October 19th, 2023 under RSA 91-A:3 2A.
Seconds.
Roll call
I was
vote.
thinking about
You saying yes?
Bear abstains.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 4 yes with 1 abstention. I make a motion to approve the driveway application permit for map 213, lot 66 for Silver Pine Lane.
Second.
Okay, one of you has to second.
I
just
didn't
said
say
second.
a word.
Yeah. I
Good.
said second.
Steve said
Okay.
it.
Just saying through the rest.
Roll call vote.
Do you say yes?
Bear, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Robert. Oh, sorry. Jeez. Wow.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no. I don't know why I did that. I make a motion to approve the septic design for TCNA extension.
Second.
Have you looked at that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm surprised on how small the field
Me
is.
too. But
Normally, I'm used to seeing not like house designs for 2, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, so on.
right.
And like the minimum for a house now is pretty much 210 linear feet of enviro septic pipe. I think this is 150 feet.
But I mean, they don't have a shower and a tub.
Well,
right?
that's
It's
probably
one toilet
there's
and 3 sinks or something.
there's a calculation that they use to figure out
Yeah.
this stuff, and it all depends too on the the ground and
Yeah.
all that. But I was surprised on how, especially since I think the tank is a 1250 350, so the tank is decent
Standard,
size.
yeah.
But I was just surprised on the size of the field, but it probably won't get much usage compared to like a residence. So.
Mhm. So if it's very sandy, then that could be part of it. But it's
Yeah,
probably
I know
mostly
that
just the number of bathrooms.
depending on the soils, that can determine how much. That plays lesser of a role into how big the field is than the
Number of
potential
toilets.
usage.
Yeah.
But sometimes that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my only thing, but I don't see. I mean, it's gonna work. I mean, I think I think septic systems are all way over engineered.
Yeah.
Like way over designed, but they plan it on worst case
But
scenario.
you can't have outhouses anymore. Just saying.
Oh, that's probably a good thing.
You can?
Pretty sure you
You
can.
probably can.
Pretty sure you're
Sure you can.
RSA.
Not legally.
I know. Yeah, I was like, I know people that still live
Yeah.
without.
I think so long as you don't have running water in your house, you can.
Yeah.
I think that's what triggers it.
If you don't have running water,
Right.
you.
Yeah.
If you don't have running water, you don't need a septic system.
You just wash up in the
Did you
creek.
second that?
I did.
Has
Good
it-
second.
There's no roll call.
Roll call vote.
Do you say yes?
Bear, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no.
It must be approved first by the local municipal health official as to location and construction.
There's an outhouse RSA.
Okay.
Section
love that.
147A.
Okay,
I
wait,
love
wait.
that.
Yeah.
Welcome to New Hampshire.
Robert,
I make a motion to approve the land use change tax for map 408, lot 52, sublot 3, in the amount of $6,500.00.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Bear, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no. I make a motion to approve the payroll in the amount of $34,257.63.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Bear, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes.
Either
5
side.
yes. 0 no. Do we not have an account payable this week?
We do not.
Okay, okay, perfect. Is there any public, select board update, sorry, Richard.
Had an LRPC meeting. Leanne was there, so I let her talk about it. That was about 2 nights ago, Monday, I think. Today I had a good conversation with the LRPC's solid waste planner, Matt Rose. Willie and I were on the phone with him to talk about grants for the transfer station. We noticed that the town of Guilford got a grant from the Northern Borders for a solid waste project, but we didn't. So, and it's hard to make an economic development argument for dealing with waste, but well, they did it somehow. So we thought we'd talk to them about it. For one, their grant was $50,000. Ours was $1 million, so that's a bit of a difference. But the real big difference, according to the LRPC, was theirs was regional, ours was just Tamworth. And Northern Borders, they love regional stuff. A lot of agencies do. The federal government, when they're giving out money and it trickles downhill, they'd rather have it spread out to various towns and not just one town. So the suggestion that Matt made was, is there some way you can have other towns utilize your facility? Well, we did reach out to other towns before we started, and none of them were interested. Well, times are different now. That was a few years ago. One of the things that Matt was interested in was, I'd never heard anybody tell me you could make money on cardboard, but he says you can. And he was an operator in New York, so he has stacked cardboard and run balers and everything. And he indicated that if you get enough cardboard and you bale it, you can make money, and sometimes that can pay the person who's stuffing the cardboard in the baler. And I didn't think there was any money in cardboard. So the concept would be, if we could get other towns to utilize our facility once it was built, you can get other agencies to help you build it. And it makes sense. The trouble is, do you want that operational hassle? And do the other towns want that? Because everybody wants to run their own thing. You know, Sandwich has a recycling program. It's single stream. There's doubts in my mind as to how much of that stuff in a single stream recycling program actually gets recycled. Some of it goes in the landfill. And maybe the good people of Sandwich who really care about recycling would want to bring their cardboard to Tamworth just because they care about it and would do that. Do you want random people with a different sticker on their window coming to your transfer station? That's problematic. The one way you fix that is somebody who represents that town gets all that stuff in their pickup truck and they bring it, so it's one person, not a whole bunch of people who might have some solid waste, paint cans or whatever, and they want to throw that in with their other stuff as well. So we don't want to deal with the operational hassle of it, but it's a concept I think we should consider. If it gets us $500,000 or $1 million out of northern borders, we'll find some way to invite the people of Madison over or whoever to bring their plastic here, because they don't take plastic over here. So I just wondered if the board has some strong objections to it. I don't even want to start going down the road. But if we could pull off the operational issues for Glenn and the staff there, are we open to that? So if you folks have any thoughts, that'd be
Could we take just recycling stuff and not?
Yeah.
I think that's all
Yeah,
it would be,
okay.
Yeah.
right? Because otherwise,
It kind of
it's
defeats
a
the
whole
purpose.
it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. I kind of always thought the regional thing would be a good idea. Be nice if the other towns would help pay for it. But
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we'd have
but
to
it would
figure.
be helping. It would be creating more stuff that we could sell, I guess.
Yeah.
So
And certainly, if there's an additional cost to it, then yeah, we should pass that cost along. It should only benefit us financially. It should not hurt us. And how you do that, I'm not sure yet.
It doesn't hurt to explore it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because other than Sandwich, I don't even know what the other towns do. I know Albany, they go to Conway, so that's what they do. They go to Conway. But there's a few towns around us that maybe it would interest them. And you know what? It doesn't necessarily have to get used a lot for us to put it in our grant application and see some success from northern borders.
Yeah.
That's more important to me than does everybody from the surrounding towns come use it. It's there if they want to.
Yep.
but I bet for the grant, you're gonna have to have like letters of support from those
Right.
towns saying that they would.
Right. So at least it has to be something that they are interested in.
Mhm.
It's no way to know how popular it would be, but at least if they want to offer an option to their citizens,
Mhm.
and if that can help us build, a better thing, I think that's a great idea. Okay, so we'll keep forging ahead on that.
Yeah.
So that's all I have.
Carl.
I have an update on the TCNA building project. Due to a change in the construction company's schedule, they had thought initially that they were going to pour the foundation and leave it, and
Right.
come back in the spring. Well, their schedule opened up this fall, so they're going to restart construction November 6th,
Oh,
and they're going to get the building framed this fall and closed in. And I think they can only go until the first of the year or something like that, so it's
Yeah.
just going to be a couple of months of bang out the frame.
well, that's exciting.
Yeah. And of course, we just voted on the septic fields, that they had to make a decision about what to do with the waste pipe, and the only thing to do at this point was to go that way. So that means no trench down here, it'll be less disruption, that's a good thing.
Does that mean they'll have to do more work on the parking? Because don't they have to lower that land in the back? Or
Well, I don't think the
No,
septic
it's a
system,
pump system.
it's a pump
That's
system,
right.
yeah.
So it's gravity into the tank and then it.
I don't think that that'll happen this fall.
Okay.
But I think they were planning on bringing that level down anyway to increase the parking.
because I think it has to.
They're not bringing it all the way down, they're gonna make the slope a little
A little steeper.
gradual.
Gradual.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
That's it.
ripping up a little bit of the parking lot. And
Yeah.
then it will gradually go up in, but some of that material will get cut out, I think.
Now when you look at the parking lot, you realize it's actually really sloped.
Yeah.
Right? There's an illusion, but anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So that'll continue.
And we are going to have to revisit the lease agreement. I mean, we've talked about it, but we have to get the wording correct and get it right. We don't. I think so that we can bring it to town meeting. I think that was the decision. Is the most transparent thing would be to bring it to town meeting, so everybody knows we're not sneaking anything. So that's pretty much it. I mean, they haven't made a decision on the car chargers.
Well, they're gonna lay conduit for it, I believe.
Well, we haven't even figured out where they're going to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they have in the budget that they can lay conduit. I don't
okay,
know.
all right. Well,
And it
We
doesn't
were
have to
talking-
be filled, it just,
and
I think
there was
they
some opinion that one was going to be for the handicap parking near the building.
Mhm.
But then after our presentation from Zach Remick, it's like, oh, we don't want those near the building because the whole thing's going to burn down.
it's more likely that a gas car would,
Yeah.
much more likely.
Well, is TCA being affected by that opinion?
No, it's
Okay.
just, I mean, they were thinking then maybe one should be in the handicap spot and one should be off in the far
Yeah.
corner.
So where they run the conduits.
Yeah, where they run the
Right.
conduit is
Yeah.
dependent, and I think we kind of make the call on where those chargers go. So anyway, we gotta think about that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure, I mean, if they build the building, I'm not sure they have to necessarily do that conduit work this fall. I mean, I don't think they're putting the septic system in this fall.
No, I wasn't,
Yeah.
didn't mean right away, I just meant in
Yeah, yeah.
general, they budgeted for it.
Yeah.
Was there any address to the water supply issue that Zach Remick brought up?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I know. Yeah, I mean,
They'd have to bring a pump tank.
yeah, no, it'd have to be a.
That's gonna be true for
it'd have to
anybody
be
who
a-
owns one.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere in town. I mean, there'd
Right.
be a truck would come in with the water, the fire truck would come in with 3,000 gallons. I don't know if that, you can't remember what he said about it.
It was a lot.
It was a lot
Yeah.
more than, but.
Is this in relation to the building or the vehicle?
Potential.
The vehicle
just
fire.
putting out a vehicle fire.
I think what
It's a different,
Zach was thinking about is trying to put in the budget. There's some kind of fire blanket that might be better because
Oh, right.
water doesn't work so well with an EV fire.
Right.
And just to point out, every year there's a handful of EVs that burn down. There are thousands of cars just like yours and mine that burn down. I've
Yeah.
seen it happen a couple of them. It happened on my street.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little too much fear in
Yeah,
some people's
oh,
minds.
I
over
agree.
EVs.
I agree. It's just,
But once they
At
catch
some-
on fire, it's a weirder fire for sure.
at some point we have to decide where if we're
Yeah.
gonna have chargers and where they're gonna go.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that. There was
Welcome back.
Something about, oh, thanks. Something about there's gonna be one more lighting pole in the far corner of the parking lot. And, in order to match the others that are there, thinking about moving the one that's here out there and putting another, but those are details that can be worked out. So anyway, the big deal is they're gonna start building.
Oh,
Very cool.
That's it.
That's good. That's exciting.
Nothing from me.
LRPC was Monday night, as Richard said, and we did take the vote on whether or not to adopt the regional housing needs assessment, and it was adopted without that fair share housing chart that we had looked at.
There were a few towns that
And it
got
was
nervous.
adopted, is that what you just said?
It was
having
adopted,
yeah.
A number of new units to shoot for. Some towns were worried about that.
Yeah.
What if we don't reach that?
So it got left out and it passed.
It was the one way to get all the towns to
Yeah.
vote for it.
I think 3 abstentions, and that was because they all spoke in favor of it, but they're involved in housing grants, so
Yep.
they decided to abstain. They are, they just got approval to create our own Lakes Region Economic Development District. Right now, we're grouped with the Northern District, which is basically Coos County, and the Lakes Region is twice the size of Coos population, and it's got twice the industry that the Coos population has. So the Northern Region kind of drives that district, and so it doesn't serve us well. So they're creating a Lakes District, and they are looking for membership people to be serving on that Economic Development District. And by having our own district, that allows towns who are part of LRPC to get grant funding for things like water and sewer projects, big infrastructure stuff, and regional economic development, maybe for a transfer station. So that was the other big thing that they talked about. And last night we had planning board, which was just some hearings, uneventful. But it did bring up an interesting conversation because a party came before the planning board. There was a proposed subdivision, and the abutters came, and they were opposed to the subdivision. And this is like a land use challenge. It goes back to what people expect their protections are, but don't understand that we don't have those protections here in town. And they brought up a lot of points about there's a shared road already in existence, and like this, the abutters who are here say they're the only ones that maintain it. Nobody else. It all went back to deed restrictions or deed language that has nothing to do with the planning board. They were talking about covenants, and they were talking about land use and people leaving trash, whatever else. And we just said, we feel your pain. All we are deciding on is this purple line right here. That's the only thing we can decide on. And it was hard because they had some really, you can understand how, at least their perspective, that they were being impacted by their neighbors in not a great way, and they were worried about what making 2 lots with those neighbors instead of 1 lot would do. But again, it comes back to can't do anything. I'm trying to explain to people that no, the powers that be can't do anything. It's like people don't get it.
Yeah.
There's no ordinance to support it.
Yeah.
So that was the most interesting part of last night, even though it was difficult.
No update for me. I didn't even talk to Richard Roberts, I don't think, in the last week, so nothing exciting.
Oh, I did talk to him. He said he was going to talk to you.
I definitely didn't talk to
I don't
him,
remember.
unless
I don't remember what I talked to him about, so it doesn't matter. You'll figure it out for next week.
Jeez, I hope I did. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Now you've got me wondering. I should look back
Well,
at my
maybe
call history.
maybe he didn't talk to you. Yeah, maybe he forgot. I don't remember what it was.
Maybe he called me and I didn't call him back. I have a bad habit of that.
Maybe it was about the culverts. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Moving on to public input. Is there any public input? Yes.
No, nothing tonight, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen.
Related to your tax billing, I believe Pam Hearn from the Carroll County Communication District had asked you to
Yes.
to put something in the tax bills in reference to broadband, the broadband
In the-
committee.
I knew somebody had like.
It was
That was
about
it.
the upload download speed thing,
Do the
right?
speed.
It was
The
the
tax-
speed
Oh, that
test.
was the tax
About-
bill. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was about the broadband initiative
Right,
and
right.
those things in there.
That's right, that's exactly what it was,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we should find out what the restrictions are in that, because I assume there are some.
Yeah.
You could send a whole manila folder out.
All kinds of stuff.
Then no one would open their tax bill.
And then just hide the bill in the middle somewhere. Kind of disguise it. No.
You're gonna get fired, Emery.
I'm gonna claim ignorance that I never got a tax bill.
Yeah.
Is there any other public input? Hearing no more public input. Oh, motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait a minute.
Signature phone?
I can just knock.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you, sir.
Have-
Motion
have
to
your-
adjourn
One of your few pleasures in life.
yeah.
What time is it?
at
8 o'clock.
Spot on. You brought your own pen.